you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits, putting on the Ritz. Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes and cutaway coat, perfect fits, putting on the Ritz. Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying hard to look like Gary Cooper. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their midst, putting on the Ritz.
Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'm doing the Boujee BookTuber Tag. This is a tag that I first saw on BookBuds, and the original tag is from a Book Olive. So I will include links to BookBuds video and Book Olive's original tag video. What are your book buying habits? Let's chat in the comments. Also, I will include in the description the prompts for this tag. And I'm excited to do this. I liked seeing what BookBuds came up with. I'm wearing a cool hat from Riverby Books, where I just got first edition, first printing of Jaws. And I'm wearing a coat and a long sleeve shirt. It's 70, 75 degrees out, but I want to look kind of bougie because I don't really know if I have any bougie clothes. Also, I've never actually typed out bougie, so that was hard. But what's even harder is figuring out how to spell bourgeoisie close enough to the word that I would get a prompt in Google for the correct spelling, so I could use it for some kind of bourgeoisie clothing in my thumbnail. Eventually it happened, but it took a while. All right, number one, what is your average monthly budget for books? Currently, I am on a book buying ban or a buying freeze because I bought Moby Dick, but I don't really have a budget. I don't get a lot of books continuously. I get books that are referenced in other books. I have around 1,000 books, but a lot of that's from before. So it's not like every month I'm having a huge addition. I'm not getting rid of books either. If I had to have a monthly budget, I'd say maybe 100 or 200 bucks. All right, number two, what is the most you've ever spent in a bookstore? I bought a book and I did an unboxing. This is Codex Seraphinianus, the 40th anniversary special edition. I bought that through BarnesandNoble.com because I got the 10% discount, and that was a $500 book. That's the most I've spent in a chain bookstore. I've bought books at bookstores, but typically online. So physically going into a bookstore, not much, maybe 100 total, well, probably more than that. But as far as like an individual book, all of the most expensive individual books I've bought through probably eBooks mostly. Number three, are you willing to pay full price for a brand new release, or will you wait until you have a coupon or there's a sale? Yeah, I'll pay full price. There are books that I want to get as soon as they come out. Ted Bell's book, John le Carré's book, Don Winslow's book when it comes out. I'm not looking for books that are on sale. I'm looking for specific books, and then whatever the buying options are is what I do. I'm going to take off my coat. I'm going to take off my coat because it's a little hot. It's getting a little bit hotter. I can't do this the whole time. It's too hot. That's a lot better. All right, number four. Would you rather buy one new book or several less expensive used copies? I think it depends on the book. It depends on the condition of the used copies. If the used copies are in excellent condition, I don't have any problem buying a used copy. A lot of the books that I have that are more valuable are used copies because they're older. I'm fine buying a new book if it's a book I'm waiting for and I don't want to wait, but I'm fine buying a number of less expensive used copies. Generally, the used copies I'm looking for are not that much less expensive than a brand new book, because if I'm buying a used book, it's probably maybe like a sought after book. If I'm buying a used book, there's a good chance that it's not that much less expensive than a new book. And when I'm buying those used books, there aren't any new books available in that book because it's probably an older book. Number five, what do you think is a reasonable price for a new hardback book, a paperback, ebook? I'd say for a hardback, somewhere between 20 and 30, somewhere in there. For a paperback, between 10 and 20. And I don't know ebooks. I don't have any ebooks. I don't buy ebooks, so I'm not sure. Number six, is a signed book worth more to you? How about a first edition? Absolutely. How about a first edition, first printing that's signed? Absolutely. The signed book is just great because it means that, especially if it's signed in the book and it's not a book plate, that means that that author, the person whose work you're reading, has touched your book, which is kind of cool, especially if they're dead. It's a piece of history, kind of. And first editions, especially older first editions, are great because they weren't printed in the numbers that they're printed today, and people weren't collecting them like they do today, I think. So when you can get a hold of a first edition, first printing of a sought after book, they're generally pretty valuable if they're sought after, and they're harder and harder to find. There will never be more of them. There can only be less. So that's why you pay a little bit more or a lot more for those first editions, first printings, and especially if they're signed. So I definitely would pay more. I have paid a lot more for those. And the other thing that's not including this is not only first edition, first printings, but hardback books that have the dust jackets, because older books lost dust jackets. A lot of them were either destroyed or they were just thrown away. So when you can find a book that's sought after with the dust jacket, it's much more expensive. Number 7, what is your most valuable book, sentimental or actual value? I won't say which book it is. The most I've paid for a book is $1,350. The most expensive book in my collection is, and it's not what I paid for it, but it's what it's appraised for, is $7,500. I bought it for significantly less than that, realized it was a rare find, and had it appraised, and it came back with an appraisal of $7,500, which is pretty cool. It's not like I'm buying expensive books all the time. The thing is, I don't buy nonstop books. So if I spend, $1,350 one time, well, if you think about it, if you're buying books continuously and you're buying 5 or 10 at a time at $20 a pop, that throughout a year really adds up. I'm not doing that. But because I bought that Moby Dick from 1930, I am on a buying freeze now. I did get my copy of Jaws and a thick academic copy of Moby Dick for our anniversary, our 5th anniversary. So those are new, but otherwise I'm not going to be buying books for a while. Number 8, will you pay more for a cover or edition you like better? I don't really care. I'm not really into the aesthetics. Like, I do know there are some books that look really nice and I'm all about that, but I don't care what the covers look like. I would care about the rarity, if it's signed, how sought after it is. But there are not books where I just want to get a certain cover. I don't really care that much. In fact, when I was doing Jane Harper's books, I had 3 of the paperbacks, and I was going to wait for the 4th one to come out in paperback, and I just couldn't wait. I just wanted to read it. So I went out and got it in hardback, and I don't feel bad about that. It doesn't go with the other 3, but I read it, and that's it. So there are definitely versions of books that are more sought after. I would pay more for that. I would pay more for a special edition, a rare edition that I like better than I would for just your trade. Carry On Comfort is a signed limited edition one that I have. I read a different copy of it, which was great. I gave it away. If you haven't seen that, it's Save My Favorite Books video a few months back. I just want other people to enjoy it. Generally, if I'm reading a book and I really love the book, there's a good chance that I will probably go out and buy a good collectible copy of it. Jaws is an example. Moby Dick is an example. The opposite of that is I have a very nice copy of Hank Searle's Sounding, and I loved it so much that I wanted a copy that I wasn't as worried about hurting, so I could give that to people if they wanted to read it. Number 9, what physical characteristics does a good quality book have? I mean, there's definitely people who know a lot more about this than I do. A lot of people who know a lot more about it than I do. I like books that are hardy, that have great binding, that's not going to split, and you don't have to worry about it breaking. I like the sewn-in spines more than glued. So good paper, really good paper, good binding. I think really good covers are nice. If it's a hardback with a dust jacket, a nice design under the dust jacket's cool. It doesn't have to be there. Most of my books don't have that, but I do, in my taste, I do feel like a lot of books I like, the simpler the better. I don't need a lot of craziness. I like books that have that detail inside, but as far as the presentation on the cover, it doesn't matter as much to me. So basically just a solid build book. Number 10, if you won the lottery, what bookish things would you do with the money? I would give it away. Now I would probably give, well, it depends on the money, right? How much am I winning here? If I'm winning $1 million, you can't pay off the house. I would pay off the house if I won $1 million, And then that's really it, I guess. Do stuff with it, save it, invest it, whatever. But if it's like a really big, multi-million dollar, $100 million win, if I could get books that I really want, here's the hard thing about this question. The books that are very, very expensive, I am less aware of because they're not in the scope of my reality, right? If I wanted to get a first edition copy of Moby Dick, let's say, and it's going to run me $68,000 to $100,000. I don't know what the price is. Let's say it's $68,000 to $85,000. That's not the kind of money that I am going to spend on a book with the money I make now. If I had $100 million suddenly, yeah, I'd probably buy that. But I'm only aware of that because I was looking at less expensive Moby Dicks. When I had a book box, a clamshell box made for one of my books, and I spent $500 on the box. It's a good book. And when I was there, next to where my book was being presented to me, there was a $65,000 book. That's like a different scale of book spending than I'm in. That's a different category. So there are definitely books that I could get for $100 million, like not for $100 million, but with $100 million that just aren't in my sphere of awareness. Now, and some of them, people collect Latin books from the 1500s, 1400s, 1600s that are pretty expensive. I don't, because I can't read Latin and it wouldn't interest me. The books that I have that I like, the books that I have that are valuable, the books that I have that are rare are books that I've read or books that I like, books that I can understand. They're not just books for book's sake. They're books that I've appreciated in some way and then purchased a better version or got lucky with the version I have. If we had $100 million and we bought a new house, I would have a room that would be for the books, right? Like this room is my study, but it wasn't designed to be a study. It was designed to probably be a bedroom. I would want something that's really like custom made for my interests. And what does that look like? Well, that's the bonus question. The bonus question is give us an image, actual or mental, of your dream home library. My dream home library would have nice wood, built-in shelves. Not that different from this. These aren't built in, but probably that color. I need to have shelves that can be adjusted because I have different size books. I would want a nice reading chair. I like my recliner, but maybe something bigger and squishier and more bougie. Probably a couch, maybe a couple little tables. I think like having a nice globe would be very cool. One that's made out of different minerals or stones. I like a darker kind of setting. These lights are all set on reading lights. So they're more yellow, not the bright white, kind of like my ring light. There's more of a relaxed feel in here. I've thought a long time about would I want a fireplace in my study, and I don't think so. There is some appeal to like sitting next to a fire and reading a book, but this isn't 1820, and I'm not a lord on some manor somewhere. It's a pain in the ass sometimes to build a fire. I think you add a risk with having a fire or having, a fireplace connected to a chimney that's open to the elements. And does that change the humidity in your room? Does that affect the books at all? So I've decided after thinking about it for a while, no fireplace in the study. I want to protect the books more than that. And also no really big windows. There can be windows. I'd like to have some kind of light, but no direct light on the books. Some nautical stuff, some things for the walls really, but as far as books go, like I'm happy with the setup I have now. I like my lamp with the little reading lamp and then the lamp that I always have on when I'm in here, and the other lamps really. Even the couch I have here and the chair I have here now, I like. So I think like the dream home library for me is really just this, but more customized and with slightly better pieces. A little more room. And maybe a little more privacy. That is it. If you saw this and you liked it, let me know what you thought. If there are any books you want to hear about, any questions you have, comment below. I think some people would be turned off by this because it seems consumerism, and there is some element of consuming when you're paying for books. If anybody wants to give me free valuable books, that's cool too. I wouldn't feel the need to spend money on them. But as far as the way it works, if you want a nice, valuable book, you got to spend the money on it. And that's what the going rate is in the market for rare or valuable books. But if you like this, do it. Like, it's interesting to hear what people spend on books. There's a lot of what I think I see on BookTube are a lot of the same books. And people will talk about different box systems like Fairy Loot or Lumicrate or whatever, and how much those books go for in the secondary market once people sell their books. So you have an idea of like what people spend on that stuff, but you really don't know what people are going to spend. And I think there is sometimes a divide between the ages. Some people that are a little older, I'm 38, but people who may be a little bit older, a little more kind of established, are willing to spend a little bit more on their books. It's not quite as daunting. And the other thing is you have to have a spouse, or if you're married, or if you have a significant other, I have found that it's also a good idea to get buy-in and clearance from them, because especially with the big purchases, that can impact everyone. So I want to make sure everyone's on the same page and okay with it. But I'm lucky my wife knows that I like books. She knows that I enjoy collecting them. I do a lot of research before I buy a book, especially if I'm spending more money. I think she trusts that approach. Also, when I make a big purchase, I make a whole lot less little purchases that add up. That's the Boujee BookTuber tag. If you are bougie, if you have some kind of bougie approach to books, tag yourself. Want to hear about it? If not, feel free to lob off my head, you proletariat. That's it. Thanks for joining me today. I can't wait to get back in the short sleeve shirt after wearing this long sleeve thing for this entire video. So, all right, have a good one. See ya.
Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in the midst, putting on the ritz. Dressed up